They saw Niagara before we did. They were as tall as trees, and their bones are still among us. These words didn't come from a conspiracy theorist or from some fringe blog. They were spoken by Abraham Lincoln in 1848. Yes, the same Lincoln who freed the slaves, the same Lincoln who became a martyr for a divided nation. In his youth, he wrote about giant beings whose bones fill the mounds of America. And he wasn't being poetic. He was being literal. In the mid-19th century, the United States was expanding westward. Farmers, miners, and railroad workers were digging into untouched soil. And what they found didn't make sense. Across hundreds of burial mounds, known as mounds, they unearthed skeletons, but not ordinary ones. These were human remains over 10 feet tall, massive skulls, enormous jaws, double rows of teeth, 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot. They were buried with copper armor, spears, tools, and ornaments. Artifacts that didn't match the known technology of Native American tribes. Too advanced, too foreign. Some resembled designs from the Middle East, Egypt, or ancient Sumer. Respected newspapers like the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the San Francisco Chronicle published these discoveries, with names, with dates, with photos. Then, everything vanished. In the early 20th century, the Smithsonian Institution stepped in. Government agents began visiting farms. They offered money for the bones, promised to study and display them in Washington. But the bones were never seen again. Some local museums resisted. They wanted to keep the finds. They were threatened. Some were shut down. This wasn't random. It was policy. A document known as the Powell Doctrine, signed by Major John Wesley Powell in 1879, made it official. No archaeological discovery in North America could suggest the existence of any advanced civilization before the known Native American tribes. The official narrative had to be preserved. America was a cultural wasteland before the white man arrived, and anything that contradicted that story had to be destroyed. Human femurs the size of horse legs, skulls with double eye sockets, copper weapons with unknown inscriptions. All of it disappeared. Whistleblowers claim that for decades, barges left the East Coast loaded with crates, stamped with the Smithsonian seal. They sailed into the Atlantic, and there, far from any witnesses, they dumped the bones into the sea. Thousands of skeletons, thousands of artifacts, drowned in silence. But why? Why go to such lengths to hide old bones? Maybe because they weren't just bones. The Bible speaks of the Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and human women. The Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, gods who came from the sky and created mankind. The Greeks spoke of the Titans, giant beings who ruled before the Olympians. Every ancient culture tells the same story. There were giants in the earth in those days. What if those stories weren't myths? What if? These skeletons were proof that humanity isn't the first advanced civilization on this planet. If the Smithsonian admitted these giants were real, they wouldn't just be correcting a historical error. They'd be validating religious texts. They'd be admitting that Darwin was wrong. They'd be saying that modern science knows nothing. They'd have to confess that human evolution isn't a straight line, that maybe we are the downgrade, and that before us there was something bigger, stronger, smarter, something that was erased. Today, if you visit the Smithsonian and ask to see the giant bones, they'll laugh. They'll say it's an urban legend. They'll say the pioneers mistook mastodon bones for human remains. But there's a problem. Mastodons don't have human jaws. Mastodons don't wear copper armor. Mastodons don't have 6 fingers. And Abraham Lincoln knew that. He saw the mounds. He read the reports. He spoke about it. And he wasn't alone. In 1871, a 10-foot skeleton was found in Illinois. In 1883, 7 skeletons with elongated skulls and double teeth were uncovered in Pennsylvania. In 1897, a burial site in Ohio revealed 18 giant skeletons. All of them gone. But the newspaper clippings still exist. The photos still exist. The eyewitness accounts still exist. The truth refuses to die, and it keeps surfacing. In sealed caves, in ignored dig sites, in stories passed down by native tribes who say, "Our ancestors didn't build this, they just found it." Who built the mounds? Who lifted 50-ton stones in places with no wheels? Who left tool marks on rocks we can only cut today with lasers? The answer might be at the bottom of the ocean, in rotting crates marked Smithsonian. Or it might be right beneath our feet, because the mounds are still there. Thousands of them, scattered across the American Midwest, sealed, ignored, forgotten. But what happens if someone opens one? What happens if a skeleton escapes? What if the giants aren't just part of the past? What if they come back? They erase the bones, they erase the names, but they couldn't erase the question that echoes through every ancient ruin, every impossible artifact, every legend that refuses to die. Who came before us, and why? Were they buried? Or worse, why were they hunted? The Smithsonian's silence isn't just omission, it's fear. Fear that the truth will surface. Fear that the official story will collapse. Fear that deep down, we are just the remnants of something far greater. And maybe we're still being watched. Because the bones may be gone, but the eyes of those giants are still watching.